you know, no way I can learn this language. My teacher is trying hard, but she probably doesn't have it right. They hang out with a kid from Detroit or from San Diego for 2 or 3 weeks, and they're able to have a conversation. The light goes on, and they think, you know what, I can do this. Here is a couple with a familiar face, Irv Reed, and this couple is Peter and Grace Wong. Peter got his PhD in applied math in 1966. Grace got her PhD in organic chemistry in 1969, both from the great, gracious State University in Michigan, namely Wayne State. Wayne Jolie Dashway. Wayne means great and gracious. That's what we are. They got their PhDs, and they became successful. They gave $2 million to Tsinghua University to do this program that I'm going to tell you about. And they did it because they were interested in the have-nots in China, the rural have-nots. And so in 2004, I went with Peter and Grace, and we went on a door-knocking visit to China. We visited lots of ministries and so on. We visited many universities, which are wonderful universities. Tsinghua was the one that we ended up partnering with. And we also went to a high school that was run by Beijing University in the process. And we visited the Institute of Foreign Affairs, Education, Agriculture, Information, and something called the Informatization Office, which is not a word, but over there, that's their computer, you know, IT stuff. And they like to make up Chinglish words. The last person that we met with, we got into the equivalent of the Chinese White House. And we met with a state counselor. She's like in the Politburo, if you will. And Chen Zili. And we told her about the junior year in Munich, and we told her about the homestay program. And she said, great, if you guys will come over and help our youngsters in rural China, we'll provide the support when you get here. And so that's just to show you that I'm, as always, with the yellow tie. And so I did a summary of that in 2004 for the Wongs and for us here. And I noted that the strategic plan for the Wong Center depends crucially on the breadth of the partnership. They wanted to have a lot of universities in the United States and a lot of universities in China, ideally, involved in this. And also the depth of the mutual commitment to everybody make a significant investment. They like to leverage their money. And the ultimate goal was to significantly reduce the gap between the haves and the have-nots in both countries. And so I pointed out that we had a related project. We knew how to do this with the Math Corps, and that we had a lot of graduate students from China, and we had the junior year in Munich, and I didn't write it down, but I had said it, the homestay program at the time. And so we, armed with that, we went to Tsinghua. Well, I went with my satchel, and they went with their satchel of $2 million, and together we convinced Tsinghua that this would be a good thing to do. And so there I am with one of the vice presidents of Tsinghua in 2006. This is when we went with the delegation led by Irv Reed. And that summer, we began the Summer Service Learning Program. Now, I don't have time to show you the clip on this, but if you go to the website there, the www.wongfoundation.net video.html, you just poke around until you find, under the Summer Service Learning Program, you'll find the video clip. It's well worth a look. It has the same kind of impact on me, anyway, as Dante does, and for the same reasons, actually. And it was a group, it was 2 students, one from Monterey Institute, Ashley Bellany, and then a young lady from San Diego State, Shaying Zhang from San Diego State, and then Ren Jia from Tsinghua University, and their experience. And they went in, when they first met with their students, they were totally depressed. Shaying Zhang was in tears at the beginning of this clip. She says, I just met after 48 hours on a train ride, and she's tired, and she just met with her first class, and she's going to teach the English class American style. You know, Chinese style is everybody sits in their seats and they do it sort of collectively. She said, no, everybody's going to have to stand up and say something in English. And what shall we say? Well, how about you tell me what university you'd like to go to? And this is when she begins to cry on this video. She said, you know, I had 62 students and only 2 could name a university. And I don't think it's right. You know, what good does it do to teach them vocabulary and grammar if they don't have a dream? Got to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, what use is it? But at the end of the video, it's 180 degrees different. And she says, I think if you come do this once, you'll want to come back again and again. So here's a picture of where the first group went. I think there were 9 students from Wayne State. You can see the circles on the map on the left in 2006, which was the first year it ran. I think we've sent 50 or so students altogether now on these summer service learning trips. And here's a group from the next year in 2007. And Shari Aref with hijab has got the girls that she was working with hugging her, and that's the way it goes. And it's the same. It's like it's like Dante says. You know, it's a lot more than just the learning of English. There's a connection there that happens that's really unique. We went. The Wongs hosted a follow-up to that in December of that year, 2006, after the first one. This is out in the state of Washington. And in fact, I don't know if you recognize him or not, but next to Peter Wong is Gary Locke, who at the time was I think maybe I'm not sure whether he was still the governor of Washington or not, but he's a prominent politician in the Northwest, and a Chinese American as well. And the president of Pacific Lutheran University, which is where Peter graduated as an undergraduate. And then friends from Tsinghua in the front row, and from South Florida, and University of Washington, San Diego State, a few others. The Monterey Institute were there. And then I got to participate in the first conference on this, the Wong Foundation Tsinghua Conference in November 2007. I'm up there, more or less, with the gray hair. The guy in the front with a Mao hat is a very interesting man, Sidney Rittenberg. If you ever have a chance, you should pick up the book, The Man Who Stayed Behind. He went over at the beginning of World War II, and he got jailed twice for 6 years in a row. It's a very interesting book, and he's a very interesting man. And he was the one who helped us, by the way, get into Zhongnan High. And he helped organize a meal that was sort of unforgettable with a lot of the bureaucrats in the Mao regime. I sat next to the minister of propaganda at this dinner, and there were 2 or 3 guys that had been on a long march. This was at a dinner that he organized. So here's the brief description of the summer service learning program in rural China. It began, well, they began thinking about it in 2004, and they were doing they were thinking in terms of having distance education. They've got all over the countryside, they've got some satellite dishes and a few computers. You know, this would be typical in a small rural area. And I thought, well, maybe we can teach them from Beijing by distance learning. And so they were involved in that because Tsinghua is basically the MIT of China, very much technologically involved. But this program is run out of the Poverty Alleviation Office, which is inside their School of Continuing Education. And so in 2005, they sent a bunch of students out to prepare for this. And in 2006, in the summer, was when our students went to those 9 yellow circled areas. And in the past 4 summers, almost 1,000 Tsinghua students, 140 Tsinghua faculty, and 219 American students and faculty members from 23 American universities went to 158 counties in rural China. And participants taught English and computer skills, did surveys, provided lectures, and so on. The real thing is that they brought hope, confidence, and information to them, opening a window for poor people to learn about the outside world. this past summer, we began a program, Miriam Greenberg and a few others. In fact, you see Miriam in the front row here. We took, I think, 8 or 9 students from, I think 9 students from Wayne State to Israel. And it was a diverse group we had a Arab Muslim student, 3 Jewish students, 3 Catholics and a Protestant in terms of their nominal religious affiliations. And they spent time at 2 universities. They went, the top paragraph, last summer 2009, worked with 2 universities in the Middle East, one Israeli, Ben Gurion, and Beersheba, and one Palestinian, Al-Quds, in East Jerusalem on the West Bank. And the students had lectures, tours, and opportunities to interact with the students and communities they visited. And the lectures that they got were from various parts of the political spectrum. And you can imagine what that was like, and it was. And this coming summer, we're broadening this in order to gain additional perspectives, and we want to introduce a service learning component to this. And so in addition to Ben Gurion and Al-Quds, our students will have lectures at Tel Aviv University in Israel and at Bethlehem University in the West Bank. Bethlehem University is basically a Christian Arab university, and as well as at BGU and AQU. And the service learning will be a very important component. So at BGU, they're going to be involved in English tutoring, much like the Chinese summer service learning program, at the Rahat Community Center and at Beit Hillel Center for Darfur refugees in Beersheba. And so the students will carry out an English language project also in the north at the Galil Jewish Arab School, bilingual, both it's actually trilingual because it's Hebrew, Arabic, and English is what they're studying, primary school in northern Israel. It was founded in the spirit of peaceful coexistence and multiculturalism. And then they're going to be doing some summer service learning at Al-Quds in the vicinity in East Jerusalem, which will involve English conversation and tutoring in the American Studies Department. And so that's kind of where we're headed with that program. So just to sum up, poverty alleviation is the glue that holds this together, intellectual glue, and that's the real objective. It's something that's important to us here in urban Detroit, and it should be important to us in rural China and elsewhere around the world, because anything that affects that part of the world is going to affect us. I mean, there's no getting around it. And then in both urban and rural Palestine, we're interested in the student exchange piece of this, and the course that the study abroad courses that can be held. Study and service learning by Huazhong University of Science and Technology in Wuhan, our partner in the Confucius Institute, Tsinghua University that I've spoken about quite a bit, and Fudan University, which is the first university I visited in 1985. We've had 2 faculty members from Fudan here for a year at a time in the last 3 years. And then Wayne State, we want our students to go for rural homestay, for study, and we have a number of them that are now studying, our Wayne State students that are studying at HUST in Wuhan, and also at Tsinghua and at Fudan University. And then, of course, we're beginning to set up some strong alliances with both Israeli and Palestinian universities, both for research and for the study and service learning. And this will take place at Wayne State here in Detroit and in nearby Dearborn. So with that, I think, Walter, you promised me 2 hours, but I think I've done it in less than 2 hours. So I'd like to thank you for your attention. I'd be happy to discuss.
Comments?
Yes.